Have you ever believed that nursing homes are the safest and most caring place for our aging loved ones? If so, you're not alone. Millions of American families have made that same choice, trusting the brochures and promises of round-the-clock care. But what if I told you that the reality inside those walls isn't always what it seems? Behind the polished smiles and cozy pictures lies a different story. One filled with silent loneliness, rushed routines, unexpected health risks, and costs that can quietly drain a lifetime of savings. It's not the picture most of us want to believe, but it's a reality too many families face too late. If you're over 65 or caring for someone who is, this might be the most important video you'll watch this year. Because today, we're pulling back the curtain, not to scare you, but to open your eyes, to help you ask better questions, and more importantly, to show you better answers. We're going to talk about what really happens inside nursing homes, the part you don't hear about on guided tours. And more than that, we're going to introduce you to smarter, more compassionate alternatives that protect not just the body, but the spirit of our elders. Before we begin, if this message matters to you, I'd be grateful if you'd give this video a like. It helps us keep creating honest content that puts people first. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you never miss another video like this. If you agree with what we're sharing today, comment 1. If not, comment 0. Let us know how we can do better. Now, let's begin. Let's start with one of the biggest problems inside nursing homes, the lack of truly personalized care. On paper, it sounds good: around-the-clock supervision, trained professionals, daily routines. But in practice, what many seniors experience is something far different. Most nursing homes in the U.S. are severely understaffed. In fact, a caregiver might be responsible for 10, 12, or even 15 residents at a time. And when that happens, care becomes less about connection and more about just getting through the day. It's not personalized, it's survival mode. There's barely enough time to help with meals, medications, or hygiene. Bathing becomes a race. Conversations turn into checklists. And our loved ones, the people who once raised families, built careers, and gave so much, are left waiting for someone to notice they need help. Take the story of Mr. Harold Thompson. At 84, Harold moved into a nursing home after a minor stroke made it hard for him to get around alone. His daughter Linda visited every week and trusted the staff would treat him with kindness and attention. But slowly, she started noticing small changes. Harold wasn't shaving. His clothes were sometimes stained. He mentioned once that he had waited over an hour just to get help using the restroom. At first, Linda thought maybe it was just a rough week, but then she found his medication organizer half full days of pills missed. She later learned that his assigned caregiver was juggling care for 14 residents. No wonder things were falling through the cracks. This isn't about blaming the workers. Many of them are doing their best under impossible conditions, underpaid, overworked, and emotionally drained. The real issue is a broken system that prioritizes efficiency over dignity. When human care becomes a rushed routine, the people who need the most support are often the ones who are neglected. A 2022 report by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found that over 75% of nursing homes failed to meet the minimum recommended staffing levels. That means most facilities are already stretched too thin, and it's the residents who pay the price. Imagine needing help just to get out of bed and being told you'll have to wait. Imagine sitting in discomfort, unsure when someone will come. This isn't care, it's crisis management. And for seniors, especially those already feeling vulnerable or unsure of their place in a new environment, this lack of timely, attentive care can lead to rapid decline physically, mentally, and emotionally. The tragedy is that families often don't find out until it's too late. The issues are hidden behind well-planned tours and polite staff smiles. And many residents feel too afraid or ashamed to speak up. They don't want to be a burden. They smile when you visit and say, "I'm fine," even when they're not. But behind those smiles are long days of waiting, confusion, and feeling invisible. What our elders need isn't just supervision, it's attention, respect, and care that honors their individuality. Because no one should spend their final years feeling like a number. Just as troubling as the lack of hands-on care is something even harder to see, but every bit as harmful. It's the quiet, creeping loneliness that so many seniors face behind the doors of nursing homes. And unlike a missed pill or a skipped meal, loneliness doesn't leave a visible mark. It settles in slowly, almost invisibly, until it starts to hollow out the spirit. Many nursing home residents spend long hours with no real interaction, not because no one cares, but because the system simply isn't designed for real connection. Days blend together. Meals are eaten in silence. Conversations, if they happen, are brief and task-driven. The television becomes a companion. And over time, even the most vibrant personalities begin to dim. You don't have to look far to find someone like Mrs. Evelyn Carter. She's 89, a retired school teacher from Ohio who moved into a facility after her husband passed. With no children of her own, the decision seemed practical, safe-structured, and nearby her niece. At first, she tried to keep busy attending bingo nights and joining a book club, but slowly the visitors stopped coming. Her niece got busy with work and kids. Neighbors stopped calling. Evelyn went from teaching dozens of students a day to sitting alone in her room watching the same shows on repeat. She says the worst part isn't the food or the noise, it's the silence. Then there's Robert Kim, 77, a retired business executive from California. His children found what they thought was the best facility, private room. Beautiful grounds, a price tag to match. But even luxury can't fill the emptiness. His caregivers were kind, but always in a rush. His fellow residents mostly stayed in their rooms. His days were filled with quiet meals, long naps, and glancing out the window, wondering how life had gotten so small. Loneliness doesn't care about how much you paid. It cares about how often you're seen, heard, and valued. And the science backs this up. Studies show that chronic loneliness in seniors significantly increases the risk of depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, and even early death. In fact, researchers have found that social isolation is as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and yet it remains one of the most overlooked dangers of institutional living. Part of the problem is pride. Many older adults don't want to burden their families. They put on a brave face when someone visits, say, "I'm doing fine," and hide the fact that they've gone days without meaningful conversation. Others fear being labeled as difficult, so they keep quiet. But behind those polite smiles is a silent ache for connection, for someone to sit and talk, not just check vitals, for someone to ask how their day was and truly want to know. What makes it worse is that even well-meaning families often don't realize what's happening. The rooms look clean, the staff is friendly, but emotional neglect is harder to spot than a spill on the floor. And by the time the signs appear, withdrawal, confusion, a sudden drop in energy, the damage has already taken root. Our elders don't just need medicine and meals, they need presence, purpose, the warmth of a shared laugh or a gentle hand on the shoulder. Because no one should live out their final chapter surrounded by people, yet still feel completely alone. And as if loneliness weren't damaging enough, it's often made worse by another overlooked issue inside nursing homes: poor nutrition and a lack of meaningful daily activity. On the surface, it might seem like residents are well cared for. After all, they're being fed 3 meals a day, right? But the truth is, what's on the plate and how people spend their time matters far more than we often realize. In many nursing facilities, meals are mass-produced, prepared in bulk for convenience, not quality. Overcooked vegetables, processed meats, sugar-filled. Desserts and flavorless entrees become the norm. The goal is often to hit calorie counts, not to nourish the body. For older adults, this kind of food can be a real setback. As we age, our bodies need more of certain nutrients, things like high-quality protein for muscle maintenance, healthy fats for brain function, and fiber for digestion. But those needs often go unmet in institutional kitchens. And it's not just about what's missing nutritionally, it's also about taste. When meals are bland, repetitive, or just plain unappetizing, many residents stop eating enough altogether. That leads to unintended weight loss, muscle wasting, weakened immune systems, and a higher risk of infection. The CDC reports that malnutrition affects up to 50% of older adults in long-term care facilities. Half. That's not a minor issue, it's a public health crisis hiding in plain sight. But nutrition is only half the story. The other half is how little stimulation many seniors receive each day. In far too many homes, life shrinks to a predictable routine of meals, medications, and waiting. Activities, if offered at all, tend to be limited to group games or movies. Low-effort entertainment, not real engagement. And when the mind isn't challenged and the body isn't moving, decline sets in quickly. Our brains need novelty. Our spirits need purpose. Without opportunities to create, contribute, or simply move around with intention, seniors can become physically frail and emotionally disconnected. Studies have shown that even light exercise, short walk stretching, or chair yoga can drastically improve balance, reduce fall risk, and boost mood. Mental stimulation is equally powerful. Reading, conversation, puzzles, music, and creative hobbies don't just pass time, they preserve identity and self-worth. But all of that takes effort, attention, and a system that values the whole person, not just their physical needs. Unfortunately, many nursing homes are simply not set up that way. They're structured for efficiency and liability, not enrichment and joy. And that structure, while it may keep the basics going, often misses the deeper, more human parts of care. So yes, the lights are on, the beds are made, and the medications are delivered, but what kind of life is it really? Because health is more than survival. It's about feeling alive. It's about enjoying food, moving your body, and being mentally present, not just existing in a holding pattern. If you're someone who cares about how we age, not just how long, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Have you seen this in someone you know? Do you feel these parts of care are being overlooked? Your voice matters, and together we can push for care that nourishes both the body and the soul. But even beyond poor meals and idle hours, there's a deeper concern that haunts many nursing home residents and their families, the risk to health and safety, not from disease itself, but from the very way care is delivered. It's easy to assume that a place built around medical care would be the safest option for older adults, but reality tells a different story. In truth, many nursing homes struggle with preventable health hazards that can quietly and sometimes suddenly endanger the very people they're meant to protect. One of the most common threats is infection. In an environment where many residents have weakened immune systems, hygiene should be a top priority. But in overcrowded, understaffed facilities, even the basics can fall through the cracks. According to the CDC, as many as 1 to 3 million serious infections occur in nursing homes across the United States each year. That includes urinary tract infections, pneumonia, and even MRSA, a dangerous antibiotic-resistant bacterium. Many of these are entirely preventable with proper sanitation, hand washing, and routine care. When those steps are missed, the consequences can be devastating. Then there's the issue of falls, a silent epidemic in elder care. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in older adults, and nursing homes are no exception. The National Institute on Aging reports that roughly 1 in 3 residents in long-term care falls each year, often resulting in broken hips, head injuries, and long-term disability. The heartbreaking part: many of these falls could be avoided with proper supervision, better lighting, safer room layouts, and faster staff response. But again, in an overburdened system, small dangers get overlooked until it's too late. Consider the story of Frank Delaney, an 86-year-old veteran who entered a facility after a minor stroke left him. Unsteady on his feet, he still had his sharp mind and independent spirit, but after just 2 weeks, he suffered a serious fall while trying to get to the bathroom alone at night. No one heard him call out. He lay on the floor for nearly an hour before help arrived. The result, a broken hip, a hospital stay, and a steady decline that stole his mobility and much of his will to engage. And the dangers don't stop there. Medication errors are another hidden threat. With dozens of residents and ever-changing prescriptions, mistakes are alarmingly common. A 2021 study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that nearly 40% of nursing home residents experienced at least one medication-related error during their stay. That means the wrong pill the wrong time, or no pill at all, and at an age where small missteps can lead to serious consequences. Often these errors aren't caused by neglect, but by burnout, poor oversight, or confusing record-keeping systems. But for the resident, the reason doesn't matter. The damage does, because in later life, the margin for error grows smaller. A missed dose, an unsanitized hand, an unattended hallway. Any one of these can lead to suffering hospitalization or worse. That's not peace of mind. That's a gamble, and it's a risk no one should have to take just to feel cared for. And if all of that weren't enough, if loneliness, poor nutrition, physical decline, and medical risks weren't already raising red flags, there's still one more truth that many families don't fully realize until it's too late: the staggering cost of nursing home care. Most people assume that with such high prices comes high-quality service, but the numbers often tell a very different story. In the United States, the average monthly cost of a semi-private room in a nursing home ranges between $7,000 and $10,000. For a private room, the cost can climb even higher. That's over $100,000 a year more than what many families spend on a home mortgage. And yet, despite the hefty price tag, many residents still experience undercooked meals, rushed care, understaffed facilities, and outdated buildings. So the question becomes, what exactly are families paying for? The promise is 24/7 attention, comfort, safety, and peace of mind. But too often the reality includes hidden fees, inconsistent care, and deep emotional strain. And the financial burden doesn't stop with room and board. Physical therapy, medication, management, personal hygiene items, special dietary needs, and even small things like incontinence supplies or basic toiletries can come with added costs. These charges add up quickly, eating into retirement savings, draining assets, and leaving adult children to bridge the financial gap with loans or second jobs. It's not uncommon for families to spend their loved ones' life savings within just a couple of years, only to find themselves in a facility that feels more like a holding place than a home. Take the case of Margaret Hill, a 79-year-old widow who moved into a highly rated nursing home after a fall at home left her with mobility issues. Her daughter, Susan, did everything right. Researched the options, checked reviews, asked all the right questions. The facility cost nearly $9,500 per month, but after 6 months, Susan began to notice troubling signs. Her mother had lost weight. Her laundry was piling up. The activities calendar hadn't been updated in weeks. And when Susan requested more one-on-one support, she was told it would require an additional $600 weekly charge. By the end of the first year, Margaret's entire savings, nearly $110,000, was gone, and the level of care hadn't improved. The heartbreaking part is that many families feel trapped. They've invested so much, uprooted their lives, and placed their trust in a system that doesn't always deliver. And walking away feels impossible. But the truth is, this high cost does not guarantee high quality. In fact, according to data from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, more than half of U.S. nursing homes receive only average or below average ratings in staffing, care quality, and health inspections. So while the bills stack up, families are often left wondering if the value matches the price, because what they hoped for was care, dignity, and comfort. But what they sometimes receive is a structured routine with very little heart. That's not how anyone should spend their final years, paying luxury prices for institutional living that feels anything but personal. Given all of this, the emotional toll, the physical risks, the unmet needs, and the overwhelming cost, it's no wonder more families are beginning to ask a different question. Is there a better way to care for our aging loved ones without sacrificing their independence, dignity, or financial security? And the answer, thankfully, is yes. One of the most practical and compassionate alternatives to full-time institutional care is part-time in-home support. Unlike a nursing home, this approach allows older adults to remain where they feel safest at home while receiving the help they need only when they need it. It's a flexible model that respects the rhythms of daily life instead of replacing them with rigid schedules. Caregivers, often certified aides or companions, can visit a few times a week or a few hours a day, depending on what's needed. They help with essentials like preparing meals, bathing, managing medications, doing light housekeeping, running errands, or simply offering company and conversation. It's not about constant supervision, it's about thoughtful, personalized support that fills the gaps without taking over. For many seniors, this small amount of help makes a huge difference. They wake up in their own bed, surrounded by familiar photos, cherished furniture, and a lifetime of memories. They keep their routines, eat what they like, sit in their favorite chair, and live each day in a space that still feels like theirs. And that sense of control, comfort, and normalcy has real health benefits, both mental and physical. I remember a man named James Whitaker, a retired mechanic in his early 80s, who lives in the same house he bought 50 years ago. After a minor fall and some balance issues, his doctor recommended moving into a care facility, but his son had another idea. They arranged for a part-time caregiver to come by 3 afternoons a week. She helps James prepare lunch, checks his blood pressure, makes sure he takes his medications, and walks with him up and down the block. That small change allowed James to stay home, avoid hospitalization, and even regain some of his strength. More importantly, it preserved his identity. He's still the man who fixes his neighbor's lawnmower, keeps up with the baseball scores, and reads the newspaper with his morning coffee. And the cost, far less than a nursing home, sometimes less than half. That means families can preserve savings, avoid financial strain, and still provide high-quality support. It also gives adult children more peace of mind knowing someone is checking in while they remain part of the care process without carrying the full weight alone. In-home support isn't just convenient, it's personal. It honors the idea that aging doesn't have to mean losing everything familiar. For seniors who are mostly independent but need just a little extra help, it's not only a viable option, it's often the better one. Because real care isn't just about where someone stays, it's about how they live. And sometimes the best place to grow old is still the place called home. Just as part-time in-home care offers a gentle and dignified path to aging in place, there's another solution that's quietly gaining traction across the country. One that combines independence, companionship, and affordability in a way few traditional models can match. It's called senior home sharing. And for many older adults, it's becoming a powerful alternative to institutional living. At its core, home sharing is a simple concept. 2 or more seniors choose to live together in the same home, sharing expenses, responsibilities, and daily life. Each person typically has their own private bedroom and, when possible, their own bathroom, while common areas like the kitchen, living room, and outdoor spaces are shared. The benefits go far beyond splitting the rent. Living with a peer offers emotional support, safety in numbers, and the kind of daily connection that no activity calendar or scheduled visit can replicate. Instead of waking up to silence or watching TV alone for hours, home sharers can enjoy coffee and conversation-shared meals or even casual walks together. This social engagement has been shown to dramatically reduce the risk of depression and cognitive decline. In fact, a growing body of research confirms that seniors who maintain strong social bonds are healthier, happier, and live longer. From a financial perspective, the impact can be life-changing. Housing costs, utility bills, groceries, and even the cost of a part-time caregiver when needed can be split between residents, making it far more manageable than a nursing home or even living alone. For older adults living on fixed incomes, this kind of cost sharing can mean the difference between struggling and thriving. Some cities and nonprofit organizations now offer senior home sharing programs that match compatible individuals based on lifestyle preferences, routines, and values, helping to ensure a safe and respectful living arrangement. These programs often include background checks, mediation support, and home safety evaluations, giving families greater peace of mind. Of course, home sharing isn't the right fit for everyone. It requires good communication, shared expectations, and a willingness to adapt. But when the match is right, the rewards are deep. It fosters mutual respect, reduces feelings of isolation, and allows seniors to remain in a home environment without carrying the weight of everything alone. In a culture where growing older often means growing more isolated, senior home sharing reminds us that we don't have to walk this road alone. It's not just about saving money, it's about sharing life. If you've ever considered alternative ways to age with grace, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you be open to home sharing? Do you think this model could work in your community or family? Drop a comment below and share your perspective. Sometimes the most meaningful support doesn't come from professionals, it comes from one another. And sometimes the greatest gift is simply having someone there at the end of the day. Building on the idea of shared life and meaningful connection, another time-tested yet often overlooked solution is making a quiet comeback in a modern way multi-generational living. For generations, it was common for parents, children, and even grandchildren to live under one roof. And while today's world is faster-paced and more complicated, the core value of family staying close remains just as powerful, especially when it's done with care, respect, and clear boundaries. When done right, multi-generational households can be a beautiful balance of support and independence, blending love with practicality in a way that serves everyone involved. For aging parents, it means staying connected to the people they love most, sharing meals, stories, and everyday life, instead of watching it pass from a distance. For adult children, it offers peace of mind, knowing that mom or dad is safe, present, and cared for without relying entirely on outside help. The key is structure. Successful multi-generational living isn't about everyone being in each other's space all the time. It's about clearly defining roles, responsibilities, and routines. One sibling might manage finances, another might coordinate doctor appointments, and a part-time caregiver could visit a few times a week to help with personal care or medication. Chores can be shared. Personal time can be respected. And when thoughtful planning is involved, everyone benefits. This model works across income levels and family dynamics. Let me introduce you to Teresa, a retired librarian in her 70s, lives in a cozy 2-bedroom home with her daughter and teenage grandson. With her modest pension, staying in a care facility wasn't realistic, but sharing a home gave her both financial relief and emotional joy. She reads to her grandson after school, helps with meals, and remains a vibrant part of the household. On the other end of the spectrum is Raymond, an 82-year-old widower with a spacious home in the suburbs. Instead of downsizing, he invited his son's family to move in. They remodeled the basement into a private apartment with its own entrance, giving Raymond privacy while keeping everyone close. His days are spent in the garden, chatting with the kids after dinner, and enjoying the energy that fills the house. What both Teresa and Raymond have in common is not just proximity to loved ones, but purpose. They're not tucked away or pushed aside. They are part of something. And that sense of belonging, studies show, contributes to longer lifespans, better mental health, and stronger family bonds. Even home design has evolved to support this lifestyle. In-law suites, backyard cottages, and modular additions are becoming more popular across the country, offering both closeness and independence in one space. Multi-generational living doesn't mean giving up privacy or freedom. It means designing a life that works better together. It reminds us that growing older doesn't have to mean growing apart. When generations live side by side, wisdom is shared, burdens are lightened, and the small joys of everyday life become the threads that hold a family together. And for those who may not have family nearby or prefer more independence, While still staying connected, there's yet another option that blends freedom with community in a way that feels both modern and comforting independent living communities. These are not nursing homes or medical facilities. They are vibrant neighborhoods designed specifically for older adults who are largely self-sufficient but want the peace of mind that comes with living among peers and having supportive services close at hand. In these communities, residents typically live in private apartments, condos, or small cottages, spaces they can decorate and manage as they please. There is no medical equipment in the hallways, no loud alarms, and no sense of being in a hospital setting. Instead, it feels more like a resort or a friendly neighborhood, complete with walking paths, fitness centers, libraries, group activities, and community dining areas where meals are shared, not assigned. The lifestyle is what makes all the difference. Seniors can choose how to spend their time joining a book club, attending a fitness class, taking a day trip with neighbors, or simply enjoying a cup of coffee in the courtyard. The goal isn't just to meet basic needs, but to support joy, purpose, and social engagement, things that are just as essential to well-being as any medication. Take Helen Montgomery, an 81-year-old retired piano teacher who moved into an independent living community after her husband passed away. She wasn't ready to give up her independence, but she also didn't want to live completely alone. Within weeks, she found herself part of a circle of friends who shared her love for music and gardening. She plays piano once a week in the community lounge, takes morning walks with a neighbor, and still drives herself to the local library. Her apartment is filled with personal touches, family photos, sheet music, and plants she's nurtured for years. What she gained wasn't just convenience, it was belonging. Independent living allows seniors like Helen to maintain autonomy while building new friendships and routines that keep life rich and full. And while prices vary depending on location and amenities, many find that these communities are more affordable than full-time nursing care and far more engaging. Some even offer tiered services, allowing residents to transition into assisted living or receive in-home help as their needs change, all without moving away from the people and places they've come to cherish. This kind of environment provides something that can't be measured in square footage or price: the chance to live each day on your own terms while knowing help is nearby if you need it. For many older adults, independent living communities offer the best of both worlds: freedom without isolation, support without sacrifice, and a community that feels more like home than any institution ever could. And while independent living offers community and freedom in equal measure, there's another tool quietly revolutionizing how older adults can remain safe, confident, and connected without ever leaving their homes. That tool is smart technology. Far from being cold or complicated, today's aging-in-place technology is designed with one goal in mind: to help seniors live independently for longer, with greater peace of mind and less reliance on institutional care. What once seemed futuristic is now becoming standard wearable medical alert buttons that detect falls, automatically voice assistants that remind users to take their medication or call a family member, and discrete in-home sensors that track movement patterns to detect if something is off, like a missed meal or a skipped bathroom trip. These devices don't invade privacy, they support it. They allow seniors to live on their own terms while keeping loved ones informed and involved from a distance. I remember a gentleman named Albert Jennings, who, 78 years old, decided to stay in his longtime home after his wife passed his daughter, worried about what might happen if he fell and couldn't reach the phone. Instead of moving him into a care facility, they installed a simple system: a wearable fall detection pendant, motion sensors in key areas of the home, and a voice assistant that helps him manage appointments and daily routines. Albert still does his own grocery shopping reads on the back porch every evening and chats with his grandchildren over video calls. But now, if anything unusual happens, if he doesn't get out of bed by his usual time or leaves the stove on too long, his daughter gets a gentle alert. She can check in without hovering, and he doesn't feel like he's being watched or controlled. That's the beauty of modern tech. It works in the background, providing a safety net without taking over someone's life. Beyond emergency support, many tools now offer mental and emotional benefits too. Interactive apps help track mood changes, voice-enabled reminders, encourage hydration or movement, and AI-powered tools can even recognize early signs of cognitive decline, helping families act sooner and more effectively. Best of all, many of these solutions are affordable, customizable, and easy to install. Whether it's a single device or a full system, technology empowers seniors to stay where they feel most like themselves at home. And it eases the worry for adult children who may live far away or juggle other responsibilities. It's not about replacing human care. It's about enhancing it. When combined with part-time caregivers, family visits, or supportive communities, smart tech becomes a powerful piece of a bigger picture, one where aging with dignity, safety, and choice isn't the exception, it's the expectation. For seniors like Albert, technology hasn't taken anything away. It's given him back something priceless, his freedom with a quiet layer of reassurance built in. Taken together, these alternatives, part-time, in-home care, senior home sharing, multi-generational living, independent communities, and smart technology reveal something far more hopeful than the traditional narrative we've been told about aging. They remind us that growing older doesn't have to mean giving up everything familiar or settling for less than we deserve. Yes, there are times when nursing homes are necessary, especially for those with complex medical conditions or no other available support. But they are not the only answer, and they are certainly not always the best one. What we've uncovered today is a larger truth that aging can look different. It can be more connected, more dignified, and more deeply rooted in the values that matter most: freedom, family, safety, and respect. Whether it's staying in your own home with a little help, sharing space with someone who understands your rhythm, moving in with family who love you, joining a vibrant community of peers, or letting technology quietly watch over you from the background, the goal is the same: to live each day with meaning, not just maintenance. We owe our elders more than just a clean bed and a medication schedule. We owe them care that sees the person, not just the patient. And we owe ourselves the courage to ask better questions, explore better options, and make decisions not out of fear, but from a place of love and awareness. So if this message resonated with you, if it opened your eyes or reminded you of someone you care about, please take a moment to like this video, share it with a friend or sibling, and leave a comment below. What has your experience been with elder care? What have you tried? What would you never try again? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Because the more we talk, the more we learn, and the better we care for those who once cared for us.